What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. We are here talking prize picks for week 1 of the NFL season. I know I usually stick to the DFS side of things here over on YouTube, but I love dabbling into the props over on prize picks ever since I moved to Florida, where it is legal as it was not in Ohio. So my plan throughout the season is to drop a prize picks video every Saturday morning for you all if you do find these interesting. And I'm not one to go off my gut or anything. I just try to shop for the best lines possible at the moment. So I look at the DK Sportsbook, I compare them to prize picks, look at the probability of winning and the odds and what they are compared to different books. And that's really the best way I like to go about it. I like to just try to find the best value possible. Yeah, sometimes you do have some gut feelings, but really when it comes all down to it, it's just really trying to find the best value possible. But anyway, if you are brand new here, my name is Pennell. You can usually find me breaking down NASCAR DFS slates, whether it be on this channel or over on Stochastic. I've also been on some baseball live before lock shows over there as well. So if you've seen my face before, that is probably where from, but I do like to dabble into the NFL streets and also the props over on prize picks. So that's why you're seeing me right now. And if you do enjoy today's video, the only thing I ask in return, because it's free, is just leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already, and hit that bell so you get notified whenever I post new content. And feel free to leave a comment down below saying whatever you want it to say, because I can't stop you. So go ahead and do whatever you want. And don't forget to check out the sponsor of the show, PrizePicks, because they do make these videos possible. And as of right now, if you are a brand new signee over there, you can use promo code CPEN to get an instant deposit match bonus up to $100. No strings attached. It is free money. Use it to your advantage when you head over to PrizePicks.com. You can use the link down below. And they're also running their promo right now with Tom Brady being over 0.5 passing yards for the prop. That's it. Just take the over, pair it with another prop that you like, and you'll be well on your way to making some decent cash this weekend. But anyway, that's enough plugging, so let's get right into it. All right, so the first prop that I am looking at for this weekend is the Jonathan Taylor rushing prop that's currently sitting at 98.5. I like taking the over here. I know that number is quite steep, but if you look at the DK Sportsbook, that's currently sitting at minus 130, which is some of the best odds I can find when you compare it to PrizePicks. It has not yet got bumped up. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that get close to 100 by the time kickoff rolls around on Sunday. But this is really the perfect spot for Jonathan Taylor to get you 100 plus rushing yards. Looking at his numbers last year, 106 rushing yards per game, nearly 20 carries, 5.5 yards per carry. But the Texans were absolutely brutal versus the run. And I mean that in a bad way for the Texans, not for Jonathan Taylor. They allowed the 5th most points per game to running backs, 121 rushing yards per game, and they were also 22nd DVOA versus the run, and the game script sets up perfectly for Jonathan Taylor to really grind this out in the second half. They have a 27-point implied team total, but they're 8.5-point favorites. The only thing I wish is that they were playing at home, because I love home favorite running backs. They're on the road in Houston, but Houston's not going to put up too much of a fight to the Colts, at least in my opinion. That's what Vegas would expect as well. With them being 8.5-point favorites, if they had the lead in the second half, I expect a heavy dosage of Jonathan Taylor. And if we can get 18 plus carries, 20 plus carries, I wouldn't say it's a lock for him to get 100 plus rushing yards, but I would say it's very likely. And in other games where the Colts are pretty decently sized favorites, you see Jonathan Taylor typically going over 100 rushing yards in pretty much all those games. So I feel like the over at 98.5, while it does seem high, minus 130 on DK, I think the odds of this happening are pretty good. And for the next prop here, we're looking at another top shelf running back, but it's Joe Mixon, and I like his rushing prop, the over on 68.5 rushing yards. It is currently sitting at 69.5 on the DK Sportsbook with a minus 120 for the odds. So I feel like this number does end up going up a little bit, but this is a great spot for Joe Mixon. As the Steelers really struggled versus the run last season, they nearly allowed as many rushing yards per game as the Houston Texans did, which they're facing the Colts, and I like Jonathan Taylor a lot, but the Steelers allowed 120.8 rushing yards per game last season. They were 27th DVOA versus the run, and fantasy point-wise, they were pretty bad versus running backs as well. I know the Steelers aren't really usually a team we like to pick on too much defensively, but with the Bengals being 6.5-point favorites at home, he pretty much checks most of the boxes I would want out of a running back to hit a prop like this, and the number seems a bit low. I know he's not nearly as efficient as guys like Nick Chubb or Jonathan Taylor, but the volume is pretty consistent as far as being on par with Jonathan Taylor. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but 18.25 carries per game last year, only 4.1 yards per carry. But he averaged 75 rushing yards per game, and I was looking at the 2 games that he played versus the Pittsburgh Steelers last season, and he hit the over in both games. Because if you date back to week 12 last year, he had 28 carries and 165 rushing yards. I'm not expecting that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Then all the way back in week 3 last season, 18 carries for 90 yards. That's well over the prop that he has this week. I know it's not an exact correlation or anything, but I am expecting the Bengals to have control of this game. And if they're leading for the majority of the second half, I think we see a heavy dosage of Joe Mixon. And I don't think getting around 70 rushing yards will be too much of a problem for him. And the last prop that I am looking at, it's the Austin Ekeler fantasy point prop, which unfortunately there's no odds for that on a sports book like DK. But this is one that I think does have a pretty good chance of hitting. It's at 19 points. I like taking the over here in both games versus the Raiders last season. He had to go over this mark. And I really think this is kind of the perfect matchup for Austin Ekeler, because if you're looking at the Raiders defense last season, they actually really struggled versus pass catching running backs, which is obviously right up Austin Ekeler's wheelhouse. Looking at their specific numbers in the passing game versus running backs, nearly 6 catches per game, nearly half a receiving touchdown per game, and about 40 yards through the air. They also had the third most fantasy points per game to the running back position in general at nearly 28.4. We know Austin Ekeler is a dual threat running back. He's going to get you 10 plus carries. He's currently sitting at 13.5 as far as his carry count, I believe, is concerned. And then he's going to get you 5 plus targets through the year. So the floor is pretty safe here. I expect this to be a very high scoring game. And I feel like his fantasy point output here, his projection, shouldn't be too far off of CMC. But we have CMC currently sitting at 24 points over on PrizePicks, which, yes, I would expect him to be a little bit higher. Volume-wise, Christian McCaffrey is always going to be the safest bet there. But the over-under in this game compared to the Cleveland and Carolina game, they're at 41.5. This one's currently sitting at 52, and the Chargers have a 27.75 point implied team total, and it's a 3.5 point spread, and they play at a fast pace. So I think there's a decent chance we see some high-scoring players in this game, and Austin Ekeler is kind of right there with it as being the most likely candidate. He averaged about 13 rushing attempts per game last year, 57 rushing yards per game, and 3/4 of a touchdown per game as well. But a lovely dose through the air, 5.5 targets, 40 receiving yards, half a receiving touchdown per game, and a 15% target share. This is a high-flying Chargers offense. I think Austin Ekeler is going to be a huge part of it in this game at 19 points. He could get there alone without a touchdown, but a touchdown would be pretty nice. But he is pretty good at scoring those. I know those are pretty much impossible to project. But if he can get to the end zone, I feel pretty good about this. But even then, the floor is pretty high. And I feel like the number's a bit too low. I think we should probably have it at 20, 21. So I think we are getting some nice value at 19. And just for reference, last year versus the Raiders, Austin Ekeler scored 32.5 fantasy points in week 4. And then 28.9 points in the last week of the season, week 18 versus the Raiders. So yeah, it's a pretty good spot for Ekeler. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys this weekend. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you think you're going to keep coming back, you might as well subscribe and hit that bell so it makes it easier on both of us. If you want to check out all the extra content that I have, link can be found down below for the Patreon for the DFS side of things. And again, if you are a new signee over on PrizePicks, make sure you use promo code CPEN to sign up using the link down below. Head over to PrizePicks.com and take advantage of all the bonuses that they have over there, including the Tom Brady prop of 0.5 passing yards that you could pair any of these props with. And you can use promo code CPEN to get the instant deposit match bonus up to $100. But I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I will see you all next time.